y'all, welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for being here. So if you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications. So for today's vlog, it is not going to be the typical happy and perky videos that I have been doing, but instead I've had something on my heart to really share with you guys. So if you don't know, about 2.5-ish months ago, I had a miscarriage. And Joey and I really just want to share our story with you guys, as well as why we are choosing to share our story. So I want to be super transparent with you all and kind of be an open book. So this might be kind of long. So grab some coffee or a snack or something and we will get started. So I don't want to go into too many details about trying to conceive because that is a whole nother vlog. But about a year ago, I had to come off of birth control for health reasons. We were in no way ready to start trying to have a baby, but just due to some health stuff going on, I had to come off of it. And when I did, after being on it for like 10 years, my cycles were a hot mess, super irregular, very unpredictable, which is nice at the time. But I knew that in the near future we would want to start trying to conceive, so I really wanted to work on getting my cycles regular. So I started taking some supplements, and don't worry, I will be doing a different post on the supplements that I have taken that have really worked miracles for me. But anyways, I started taking these supplements and was able to have a very predictable, regular 29-day cycle. I also tracked ovulation even though we weren't trying. I really just wanted to learn my body and learn what it was doing or was not doing. So I feel like that was super important. I graduated with my master's degree in May, and we had always said we at least wanted to wait until May to start trying to conceive. Not that we were definite without a doubt going to start trying in May, but we at least wanted to wait until then. But in January, I really started pushing him to start trying, but he just wasn't ready yet, which was fine. But April rolled around and we both just felt ready, and I was still tracking and everything. So we tried April, and then some days passed, and then day 29 of my cycle came and I didn't feel like I was fixing to start a period. And if you're a woman, you know what I'm talking about. I usually get a migraine and have some back pain and some bloat, and I had none of that. I felt really good. And I was like, okay, this is weird. The next day rolled around and same thing. My period did not show up and I just didn't feel like it was going to. So we waited one more day and I was like, okay, I should probably take a pregnancy test. And Joey and I were together. He wanted to be with me and I took a test and it was without any doubts positive. So we were super shocked because listen to this logic, this horrible logic that I had. First of all, I'm a nurse. Second of all, I'm 27 years old, so like I completely understand the science behind having a baby. But I was like, if you're actually trying, it never happens the first time. Like, if you're actually tracking and trying for a baby, it just won't happen that first time. Horrible logic. I don't know why, but I thought that way. I knew better. So if you're watching this, it only takes one time. So remember that. But, yeah, we were pregnant. And I took a test literally like an hour before my graduation, which was a horrible idea because, of course, my family and his family were there. And I threw a little fit and like refused to go because I was like, I can't know what I know and be around these people. But of course we went and everything was fine, and our shock quickly turned to happiness, and our hearts were truly just filled with joy and excitement to be having a baby. So we figured out right at 4 weeks that I was pregnant. About a week later, we left for a cruise to kind of celebrate my master's degree as well as a late celebration for his master's degree. And we just wanted to wait and tell anyone until we got back from the cruise that I was pregnant because, for one, We just wanted that week to really just celebrate and just be with each other. And also, I didn't want to hop on a big boat and go to a bunch of other countries and have my family worried knowing that I was newly pregnant. So we just decided that it would be best to wait until we got back. We had a great time on the cruise. Overall, I felt really good. I do work out quite a bit. I try to do HIIT 2 or 3 days a week, high intensity interval training, and then I try to run, 5 to 7 miles a couple times a week too. So getting short of breath is not usual for me, but y'all, I was so short of breath, so easy. Like going up a flight of stairs, I was like gasping for breath. I wasn't really nauseous, maybe just a little bit, but not bad. And then the weirdest thing, I wanted salads with bell peppers in them. And I hate bell peppers, but all of a sudden they tasted really good. So that was like the only weird things that I noticed. But we had just a great time on our cruise, just celebrating each other and celebrating our baby. Nothing bad happened on the cruise except the last day. I don't know about you all ladies if you've ever been pregnant, but when I got pregnant and when I went to the bathroom, I just become super observant. So on that last day on the cruise, I went to the bathroom and saw the smallest drop of blood you have ever seen. It was literally like a pin drop. I even like felt it because it was so small. I wondered if it was like a piece of fuzz or something. But I don't even know for sure if that was like a part of my miscarriage or not, but that was the first blood that I had seen. But I didn't have any more blood the rest of that day, so I wasn't really worried. That next morning, we got up super early to head home. No blood at all that morning. Also, probably should have already said this, but a little TMI warning. I'm not going to get super graphic or anything, but I do just talk about blood a little bit because that was part of my miscarriage. So anyways, we got up that morning to head home. No blood. I thought, okay, that was just a fluke, whatever. It was weird, but it's fine. And where we get on the cruise ship is only like 5.5 hours away from home, which if you live in East Tennessee is not a long ways at all for a tropical vacation. So usually one stop on the way home when it's just Joey and I, we're good. But we got stuck in the worst traffic ever. Like literally the whole interstate was shut down. So it took us like 8-ish hours to get home, so we had to stop twice. So that first time we stopped, I went to the bathroom and had some brownish blood. So I wouldn't say that I was not worried, but it was brown blood, which is usually old blood, so I wasn't like overly concerned. I wasn't freaking out, but was observant and kind of just like, okay, that's a little weird. So we kept driving and we stopped in Asheville, which is like an hour and a half away from home, to eat at my favorite restaurant. But by the time I went to the bathroom there, I was passing bright pink blood with bright red blood clots. It was at that moment that I actually felt like the life inside of me leave. I just felt sort of lifeless. I couldn't eat or anything, so we just got in the car and headed home. By the time we got home, I was bleeding way worse than a period, bright red blood, and passing large red blood clots. And I just knew, in my heart that I was losing the baby. But I called my OB, and by this time it was later in the day, and she couldn't see me till in the morning, which I knew if it was a miscarriage that there was nothing anyone could do anyways. So I was just bleeding really, really bad, and I was having some cramping and some back pain. And I knew in my heart that I was losing the baby. So I don't remember everything else about that day. It's kind of a blur, but I do remember trying to unpack my clothes just to give me something to do, get my mind off everything. And I was trying to put them up and stuff and put, some clothes in the laundry and all that. And I physically couldn't stand anymore. And I just like fell on top of these clothes because I just couldn't hold my body up anymore. And I was crying uncontrollably. And Joey is just so good. Every day he is just so good. But during this moment, he was everything that I needed, because it was so hard. But he was just, I don't know how else to say it, but he was just everything that I needed in that moment. He had to leave for just a couple minutes. I don't know where he went. I can't remember if he went to like the neighbor's house or to get gas or something. He was just gone for a few minutes. And I've grew up in church. I pray every single day, but I'm always like a silent to myself prayer, like don't ask me to say the blessing and stuff like that. But I just remember in this moment, I dropped to my knees and I was praying so hard. But no one but the good Lord above could understand what I was saying, because I was just crying so hard. But I remember praying. I used the words selfishly, Lord, please let me keep our baby. I want to keep our baby more than anything. But then I continued to pray, and this was so hard. I said, unselfishly, don't let me get in the way of your will being done. That was hard. It's still hard to think about that prayer I said, but I just really felt like I needed to pray that prayer. I wanted God to know that I trusted Him. Even during hard times, I wanted Him to know that all of my faith was into His plan. And that was just a hard prayer to pray, but I wanted God's will to be done. The only other thing I really remember about that day is my parents live very close to us, like 10 minutes down the road. We see them all the time. I am super, super close to my parents. My mom's my best friend in the world. And I needed them to know. For one, I talked to them all the time. And my mom told me she already knew something wasn't right. So I knew that I couldn't keep it from them, because they would just be able to tell that something was really wrong. But also, I just needed them to know because I needed them. So Joey called them for me, and I'm sure that they were in a state of shock, because he told them that we were pregnant, but we were also fairly certain that I was losing the baby. So I'm sure we set them into an absolute state of shock, but I just really needed them to know. I couldn't wait any longer. I just needed them to know. So the next morning, first thing, we went to the OB. And I remember the nurse was all like, happy, being her nice self, because she's a nice person. But she asked if I was still bleeding, and that's all it took. Like, I just started crying. And she, something just changed, and she was being very consoling. She was so nice, and I explained that I was bleeding really, really bad, passing really big blood clots. And then my OB come in, and she was also just wonderful. I have a pretty good relationship with her, and she just held my hand and told me she loved me, and she was just really great. And she done a transvaginal ultrasound, because I was 6 weeks. That's the kind of ultrasound that she needed to do, and said that she didn't really see much except for some tissue. And based off the information I had told her, she did confirm that I was having a miscarriage. So medically, it wasn't too bad what I had to go through. I bled really, really bad, but it only lasted for like 5 days. I didn't have to have the surgery. I didn't have to take any medication, so I was very thankful for that. I had to follow up with her a couple of times just to make sure my cervix and all that were normal, which they were. And then I had to get lab drawn labs drawn several times to make sure my pregnancy hormone was dropping, which it did. So my body done a really good job of handling everything on its own, and I was thankful for that. I get a lot of questions about pain. I have a pretty high pain tolerance, so it was, to me, it was like a bad period. Like I had a lot of back pain and some cramps, but it was manageable. I took some ibuprofen and that did help. So that is kind of my story and our miscarriage, but I really, really want you all to listen to the why we decided to share. So there's 3 main reasons, and the first one is self-healing. So the best way that I know how to describe it is, when I started my miscarriage, we were in a very dark hole with just Joey and I, which was very lonely, and there was no light. It was just very dark. And then we told my parents, and some light started shining in that dark hole. And then after the OB confirmed that I was having a miscarriage, we told his parents, and even more light started to shine in. Then we decided we wanted to tell the rest of the family as well as our close friends, and even more light started to pour into our dark place. And then ultimately we decided to do a post on Facebook and Instagram telling everyone that we had a miscarriage. And y'all, I was bombarded with just love and support. People were messaging me and texting me and calling me, offering loves and prayers and support, but also sharing with me their stories. And that was just like a game changer, and light just flooded that dark place we were in, and all of a sudden that dark place just wasn't dark anymore. So for us to share was just like, we just needed to for our souls. It was just the biggest help for our grief and healing process. Not that sharing fixed everything, but it was a big help. And since I am talking about sharing, if you are going through a miscarriage or have went through a miscarriage and you are watching this, please know that there is no right answer. If you want to share your story, do, but if you don't, you don't have to. Everyone grieves differently, and that is just totally up to you and your family. The second reason we want to share our story is awareness. So 1 in 4 pregnancies actually end in miscarriage. That is a huge number. So we really just want to create some awareness. As I mentioned, we told the public, we told everyone on Facebook and on Instagram about our miscarriage, and so many people shared their stories with me, people that I have known forever, and I had no idea. So I feel like a lot of women and families suffer in silence. So we would just, not that Joey and I can do it ourselves, but we can definitely be a part of this movement just to create awareness so that this is an okay subject to talk about. Losing a baby is hard, whether you are 6 weeks like me or 36 weeks. Losing a baby is so hard. This needs to be a subject that is okay to talk about. And for it to be okay to talk about, we just have to create awareness of this topic. Women and families need support. Women and families deserve support. And for this to happen, we just want to take a step forward in creating awareness and to try to help the silence that still surrounds infant loss and pregnancy loss. And then kind of our final reason for sharing, which is more of me as why I wanted to share. When I was going through my miscarriage, it was so lonely. So I went to the internet, and particularly I went to YouTube, and I just typed in like miscarriage story, my miscarriage story, or whatever. And these strangers that I do not even know have been just an absolute game changer for me. They have helped me in ways that I could never rethink them, and ways I could never describe. They were just I don't know, you just feel so lonely when this happens to you. And just to know that I wasn't alone was just such a big help. So I just had it on my heart to share my story and to hopefully be that support for someone else. I don't think I can fix everything and make it better, but if I just help one person not feel alone during this process, this is worth it to me. So those are the 3 reasons as to why we decided to share our story. I do plan on doing some follow-up vlogs on the supplements I take, things people have said to me after my miscarriage, as well as some trying to conceive updates. So please be sure to subscribe. And if you are still watching, thank you so much. And if we know you personally, because I do plan on sharing this on my Facebook and stuff, thank you from the absolute bottom of our hearts for your love, your support, and your prayers. I truly believe we would not be doing as good as we are without you guys. And we just thank you literally from the bottoms of our heart for all your love. Thank you.